Welcome back, guys. Today we're doing an Evil Dead Rise review, but before we get to that, remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification button to stay on top of all our reviews and all the other videos dropping. Let's hit that
intro!
Now it's time to break it.
Welcome back.
Alright, guys. So, unfortunately, not all four of us watched Evil Dead Rise when it came out on Thursday night. Me and Gavin did, though, so we'll review it real quick. Spoilers ahead. Right off the bat, what did you think of it?
Right off the bat, I really think that it was decent. It was probably one of, I would say, it's like my second favorite Evil Dead movie. Army of Darkness always going to hold that spot for me, but it's the quality is very high. The horror wasn't much there. Evil doesn't really much about the horror. It's more about the creepiness and the gore. Let's be honest. And there's tons of that in this movie. I just really enjoyed how they got it to all work. Like, it all kind of connected to the earlier Evil Deads. Mm-hmm. Like the St. Peter's Monastery is the same monastery as it was in Army of Darkness. They sealed it away in.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was a nice little touch that they didn't do too much in.
So one thing I did read in an interview on Collider that producer Bruce Campbell was a part of was the main connective tissue between all the movies is that in Army of Darkness you'll see there's 3 books, and though in that movie Bruce Campbell doesn't pick the right book right away, but all 3 of them are mentioned to be versions of the Necronomicon. And you could say that each series, like you had the 2013 reboot, this movie, and then the regular Evil Dead movies are different. Each one of the 3 books.
Right.
So that's the connective tissue. For this movie, or let's back up a little bit. For me personally, my introduction to the Evil Dead movies was 2013's reboot, which I really liked because I liked...
There's nothing wrong with the movie.
I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. I really liked the tone of like more gruesome killing and the darker parts of that movie. It was another decade till you introduced me to the original trilogy, and I was kind of shocked and taken aback by how campy it is.
It is
compared to 2013's reboot.
It is,
and there's nothing wrong with it.
There is nothing wrong with it, but the tone of Evil Dead is the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Is not the 2013 is an outlier.
Yeah,
it's not anywhere near as campy. It's way more like just action horror. Like there's just horror aspects, kill aspects, and like that's it.
But this new entry, Rise, kind of closes the gap of
a little bit of the ridiculousness mixed in with that.
Yes,
with that simple need for gore, apparently, that Sam Raimi has.
Yeah, I think he was another producer on this newest one.
He was.
I can't remember the director's name offhand right now, and I'm not going to look it up.
No.
But
you can Google it yourself.
As far as the new entry goes, the Evil Dead Rise, I liked how it started. I don't know if you came in a little bit afterwards, because I think you were a minute late.
We were a couple minutes late, but it started. How to start? Because I feel like.
So you know how like the other Evil Deads, they start with like kind of like the camera panning through the forest,
right?
And, like,
showing the Deadites movement.
Yeah, it actually kind of starts like that, but then you kind of find out that you're just actually the camera's just a drone going through the forest. Kind of a cool gag, but like a callback to the filming style of Sam Raimi in the original movies. And it kind of starts with the date after everything happens, and then brings you
with unrelated characters.
Yes, but then brings you to the main day's events a few minutes into the movie. I think the strengths of this movie, at least in my opinion, were like the practical effects and makeup, the gore, and just the kind of like tension building throughout the movie. Like once the movie starts, the plot starts, it keeps going up until the last second.
I really liked how like I really liked how they had the vinyls for the reading of it.
Yeah.
Because it made it more sense than if the kid was just like stumbling through it. But I really like because it ramps up really hard immediately.
Yeah.
Kills the mom. Spoilers. And then it kind of peters back down when they're still trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And then it ramps back up. I feel like some of the... Weirdly, I think the design for, like, the final evolution was kind of flawed. I wasn't a huge fan.
It was a little silly.
It was a little silly. I feel like it would have been better off if they just stuck just the more arms on. That was it. Like
I almost yelled Rat King in the middle of the theater.
Because it had the heads. Like if they didn't have the heads, I think it would have been more intimidating. Mm-hmm. It would have been scarier, especially because like I get like the horror, like the traumatic aspect.
It felt like it was trying to pull from the Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah, and like I think it would have been fine if they just if she just stuck on the extra arms and turned into a discount human. My fiance turned to me when she first saw the spider thing, and she's like it's a discount human centipede. and it kind of is. I think it would have been better if they just made it like because for some reason for me anyways, it kind of took away from the horror aspect of it. Yeah. Having the extra heads on there. I think it would have been scarier if it was just the arms and like maybe like the chest was like where they attach all the arms and like maybe like rips open and the heads are there. Would have been scarier, I feel like. Would have been more intimidating. But I still really like the fact that Deadites are Deadites. They're goofy, gore-loving, terrifying human selves.
Yeah.
That's all the Deadites try to do is rack up the terror. But I also always like the Deadites while in this movie they kind of explain like they don't like die. Mm-hmm. They've always, unlike a lot of movie monsters, they have the one weakness that is as long as you stand up to them, they tend to fail. Yeah. Ash was the only one that really in the originals stood up to him. Ash in the 2013 was the only one that stood up to him because they were both named Ash. I don't know if you remember that.
Vaguely remember.
She was the only one that stood up to him, so she like it's still gory and it still sucks and it's still traumatic.
Yeah.
But with the Deadites, it has always shown that as long as you're like aggressive with them and like yeah, it's just gonna have a horrible fucking time. But generally, like you can fight them. If you like meet their like, if instead of getting scared when they're trying to scare you, just like how Ash reacts was just kind of like a joke, or how Beth in this movie acted, which was just with rage. They lose a lot of that power over everybody else. Still horrifying, I'm sure. But
no, when it comes to horror movies, I'm someone who kind of just doesn't really react to the jump scares. I don't really feel the queasiness that some movies try to give you. But with this one, there were several times where like I actually kind of squeezed my wife's hand a little bit tighter, and like I felt a little bit like oh god, like it would almost make me sick.
Yeah, when she's eating the glass, that was a hard one to watch.
Yes.
When she almost gets the tattoo gun in her eye, I really thought like it got so close and like it stayed on there. I was like, oh god, I don't want to watch this.
Cheese grater. I think all three of those scenes were in the final.
The violence was just as is traditional in Evil Dead,
relentless and unforgiving,
and just cruel,
visceral. And
usually the violence is never meant to kill. It's meant to maim. It's meant to hurt. It's meant to hinder.
Yeah.
Like the cheese grater, unnecessary. Did that just to be an asshole.
And I was thinking, since this is the first film in a franchise where they actually added children.
Oh yeah.
You would think that would kind of like make them want to kind of tone down.
I was a little worried about that.
Yeah.
When I saw I was like, oh, they're kids. All the kids are gonna get out. They're not gonna kill any of the kids. Like that's typically in horror movies. If there's a kid's not dying.
They just ramped it all the way up. Like there's no holes barred.
Those kids, not all of them, but most of those kids got killed on screen. in horrifying ways.
Technically, Deadites don't die.
No.
So no one died.
Well, the
Per
kids,
se.
at first they died.
They come
for
back.
to be able to come back, it is a lot of fun. I only am ranking Army of Darkness higher because I just love Army of Darkness for the campiness and everything about it. Ash Williams is a fantastic character for being just idiot savant. It reminds me of that old story about the farmer's son that can't feel fear. Mm-hmm. And so he does all this crazy. That's basically Ash Williams.
All right, since you already kind of mentioned it, out of 10, what are you ranking it?
I would actually give it a solid 8.
Solid 8, that's a good score.
I really did like it. It still had its campy cheesiness because the Deadites mock.
I feel like the third act kind of brings up the cheesiness a little bit.
It does. I was really happy that they kept all the Deadites yelling horrible slurs even after they get semi-thwarted or anything. I know other horror movies do it, but for some reason, I don't know if it was Bruce Campbell that was doing the writing or helped with the writing or who was really in charge of the writing. But the Deadites always seem to manage to hit say just the right thing at the right time. What buttons to press. But it was never they didn't say it and then kept going. It was just that one-off line to rile people up and then just the violence again. I also really liked. I have mentioned the vinyls. I really liked how that set it all up. Yeah, I really liked how creepy it was.
It was almost as soon as he realized that he fucked up, there was a supernatural effect that would not let him undo his mistake.
Yeah, he couldn't stop. He couldn't stop it from stop it anymore. And as soon as the lights cut off, I personally thought he was going to mention something sooner.
So for me, out of 10, I'm going to give this a 9. Like I said, I lean more towards the 2013 as being one of my favorites. This one now is my favorite.
It has a little bit of everything. So for me, it'd probably be this one, The Evil Dead Rise, then The Evil Dead 2013, and then Army of Darkness is my favorite of the original trilogy. It's the best out of the original trilogy.
Penultimate campiness, but it's still a swashbuckling adventure.
It is.
And then the original Evil Dead, and then I can't get over the fact that Evil Dead 2 is basically a sequel,
rehash of one.
Reboots.
They just
rehash.
Yeah, it's the same movie as the first one.
With more stuff thrown in.
With just extra
stuff
info.
taken out.
Yeah. I get they had to figure out how the fuck to get him to the past.
The past, yeah.
and the first movie didn't end in a way that he's getting to the past. Mm-hmm. And I also understand that Sam Raimi and I also know Bruce Campbell both really enjoy Army of Darkness. In general, from my understanding, it was a fun movie to shoot, which I can totally see between the evil Ash and the good Ash, and all the fucking spirit Halloween skeletons.
All right, so with Evil Dead Rise, I feel like the ending kind of set it up for possible sequels. Would you be happy with them continuing, maybe making a new trilogy?
I would be totally happy with that. I know that the 2013 one, I went to go see that in theaters because I was personally super duper excited because the director for that and the writers and stuff, and Sam Raimi, they were all specifically saying they were trying to tie that one into a new trilogy that ended in another Army of Darkness that was a sequel to the original Army of Darkness that had both Ashes in it.
And maybe they'll try that again.
Maybe they'll try that again. Bruce Campbell's getting a little old. I don't know how... actually, no, I know he'll do great because Ash vs. the Evil Dead, he does fantastic. And he's
Which is still the only part of the franchise I haven't watched.
I will say that the TV show strikes the balance a lot. It's a lot closer to what Evil Dead Rise is like. With a little bit of the campiness. There's one episode where there's a Deadite car. Deadite controls the car.
Oh.
And it's just him standing in the middle of a dirt lot with his chainsaw in his hand and a shotgun just swiping at this car while I'm trying to run him over. And it's the funniest damn thing. But it also has a lot more of that, like, just that more, like, horror aspect.
Okay. I'll definitely have to check that out.
I also expected Bruce Campbell just to show up at some point in this.
I wonder if he has like a voice cameo or something that's just not credited, or just no one's really like brought up just yet, or
maybe it's too.
Because I could almost see him having done the recording that's on the vinyls.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I was kind of surprised that he didn't just show up, or there was a character named Ash like the 2013.
Like I said, like I told you that the other night, that I expected. And I shouldn't have expected this, but the Evil Dead as a franchise is wild. You can't really expect, you can't predict what the fuck they're gonna do. They do whatever the hell they want. I semi-expected though for Ash to come in like swinging and shooting because he's Deadite hunting.
Yeah,
like I thought. Apparently, the homeless guy was just a throwaway. I thought that the guy that was just covered in all the stuff had this. That was him. Like I thought that was gonna be him. Like he's on patrol, and because the cart was covered, so like his chainsaws in there, his boomsticks in there from Estimart. And I'm not upset that he didn't show up. I think it would have probably taken away a lot. It probably would have dropped a solid like point or two for me. If Bruce Campbell showed up in this movie based on how it all played out.
Yeah. And with the performances from all the rest of the cast.
Yeah,
it would have taken the attention away quite a bit.
It would have. The child actors I thought did a pretty good job.
Everyone did.
There was a few times where I was like, a little cheesy there, but like, but sometimes I feel like it's sometimes hard to act in a room that's covered in blood and visceral, like when you know it's all fake as an actor and you're trying to like act out like you're scared and shit. There's a couple times where I was like, I don't really believe you in this belief of, oh my God, but.
All right, well, I feel like to wrap it up, guys, I would highly recommend seeing The Evil Dead Rise in theaters, wherever you watch your movies.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I know we both definitely liked it by our ratings. Hopefully the rest of our group will watch it soon, so we can talk about it maybe next week, shortly.
And I think they'll probably end up liking it too.
Oh yeah.
I think this is a much more accessible point in Evil Dead than the traditional route.
Honestly can't wait to like rewatch all the movies with my wife now that this one's out. She really enjoyed this one.
I will say this because you've only watched Evil Dead 1 and 2 and Army of Darkness once. They are much more fun on subsequent viewings because you know what to expect.
And we're not watching it 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you know what to expect, and you're not getting and you know it's going to be goofy, so you're able to enjoy the goofiness a little bit more than when you watch the first time being told it's a horror movie, because I always said that they're more thrillers, action thrillers, way closer than anything else.
Yeah. I mean, like, going from Rise in 2013 to the original Evil Dead trilogy, it's like watching Nolan's Batman series and then going to the Adam West Batman.
Yeah, like, it's disjointed.
But guys, if you have seen the movie, let us know your opinions down in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching our videos. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification to stay up on top of all our reviews. Tell us what you guys want to watch next. What's coming up later this month, next month. We'll come back with more reviews as always. Thanks again. I think it's time to
split!